create a future that is female, and what are some concrete things that the music industry can do to promote that equality?
Hire women. And I'm not saying hire somebody who's unqualified. I would never, ever, ever say that. But if you have 3 applicants and one of them is female and she's just as qualified as the men, maybe try and give her that job. Don't give her that job if she's not qualified, but if you can, it helps. The future as female is not about women are better than men. That's not what this concert's trying to say at all, and I want to make that very clear. It's exactly what Anne said. It's to help get equal footing.
What's interesting that I've seen is as women directors are coming up and female producers are coming up, there is less reluctance and there's that more desire to possibly look at female candidates as well as men and really do it on merit rather than star power of a name.
I was curious, how many do more female directors hire me than men directors? So I looked up on my own IMDb page and I was surprised to see that it was actually 32 and 32, men and women. So I'm like, okay, that's interesting. But then I saw that most of the women were relatively younger directors who are like probably around the same stage of the career as I am, while the men that hired me are like a bit further. So I definitely see that the future is changing, and the more female directors we have, and producers and writers and the cinematographers, and I mean we're all in the same boat.
I'm actually curious because you're from Israel, correct?
Yes.
And France. Mm-hmm. So I'm also wondering if this is a cultural thing too, because I just went to India recently and I got hired to score this animated feature, which I did with my partner. And never once was there a question or even a flicker of a problem due to the fact that we were female. So I do wonder if in France, do you still deal with the same thing? In Israel, do you still deal with this? It's just kind of, I don't know. Yeah. I'm curious.
I'm lucky because so far in the States, I haven't really been in a situation where I experienced very obvious, sexism or all that. In France, however, so before I came to the States, I was a boom engineer on the French TV news. I also did like a sound engineering degree, yeah. And we would go in on missions every day, like with different camera guy and journalist. And that's the first time that I was faced with a situation where the camera guy was like purposely being very disrespectful. And I remember not really knowing what to do because it was the first time I was, encountering that. And yeah, so it's the same thing. I think it's the same thing in France as well.
The times when I have experienced disrespect or sexism, I'm really hesitant to call it out because, I want to be someone people feel like they can work with and be their genuine selves with.
I think in Israel the situation is a bit different, and that's because we have a compulsory military service, and then the girls do it too. And that makes us badass.
No
so.
kidding.
So guys know that we can do things that they can do.
Yeah.
I mean, girls can do combat. So I've never been discriminated against or anything like that when I approach a show or whatever I pitch for. I never felt that. That being said, I still see that there are a few male composers who are generally dominating the industry again. But again, I see so many like younger film composers like me that are, we are getting jobs there.
Yeah, but it's also like being pigeonholed into something. Men feel comfortable with women being vocalists. That makes sense, right? Me as a music editor, there are a million fantastic female music editors. That's safe. However, for some weird reason, when it comes to composers, female composers, there's a whole other wall that you have to break down. To get that film that you get to score is different. I could get hired as a music editor any day, that's fine, because a million women do it. But for me to try to step in and say, no, I'm writing this thing, it's very different, it's very different.
Yes, I believe we do need to lead by example, because I see so many young composers, female film composers, being disillusioned, and then they settle for being someone's PA, or they do something entirely different, or they, don't give up. If you set out to be a film composer, be a film composer. Because I don't see all the guys straying from their path. They're an assistant for a certain while, then they go freelance, and they just jump in and do it, and that's what we need to do too. We have a group on Facebook for female composers, and we're doing this thing that the Obama administration did, you know, where the women would reinforce each other. So if someone had a good idea, other women would repeat it and amplify it. So that's what we're doing right now, because women are a little less inclined to promote themselves and to brag. We overcome that problem by saying, okay, we're just gonna lift each other up. So I'm gonna promote you, you're gonna promote her, she's gonna promote you, and that's how we're doing it right now. On select forums on Facebook, but also generally on our Facebook walls and our artist pages and all that stuff. So the next step is going to be that one of us or someone else is going to score a bigger studio film, which are now pretty much exclusively done by men. And I think that's when we reach true equality, when those big movies with those big budgets are also scored by us.